Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Hasani Pettiford.
And I'm Danielle.
And welcome to the Couples Academy show. And we're excited because this is the month of February. And if you've been following us on social media, you know that this is Love Month.
It's love. That means we get to be super loving to each other.
And that's why we're in red today. Well, you know what it is. Fellas, you know what it is. And during Love Month, we're excited because every single day of this month, we're going to be covering topics specific to love. And so years ago, actually, when Danielle and I first started this podcast, it started off as a 30-day Facebook challenge. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
We hired a coach and they said, listen, you need to get online and you need to do... Matter of fact, she didn't tell us to do it. We did it because we were modeling what she had done.
She would do it. Yes, that's right.
And she went on Facebook for 30 days. And I remember when we first started the show, it was a 15-minute show, and we started off with a 16-part series on love. And so what we're going to do a few years later, now today, is take it up a level because there's 28 days in the month. We're going to cover 28 days of love.
Yes, I'm excited about this. But before we jump into it, did y'all know that yesterday was Groundhog's Day? Did you know that? And that he did see his shadow, which means we are in store for 6 more weeks of winter. That's what they say. I don't know if that lands every single time because yesterday was a beautiful day here in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, we were out there and getting the yard ready and doing all the things because it was so nice. But anyway, that's what the groundhog is saying. So y'all get ready for however you got to get ready for it.
So listen, guys, before we get started,
I want to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss an episode. And guys, sharing is caring.
It is.
Sharing is caring. So if you know somebody, a couple that really needs the support in their marriage, definitely let them know about the Couples Academy podcast.
Now, before we get into today's show, we want to let you know that we're doing the 28-day love challenge all month long.
Correct.
If you have not signed up, listen, you need to go. It's not too late at all.
It's not too late. Today, I'm on my day 3, but you can start your day 1 today and you will get all the automatic reminders and you will know exactly what to do. Hasani doesn't know what I'm about to do today. But I'm going to share it with y'all later on Instagram. I'm going to show you what I'm up to. Maybe he will show y'all, but we have committed to each other to not spy on each other's social media so that we can share it with you. So definitely join. The link will be in the description so that you can be a part of all the fun for Love Month.
Now's the perfect time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now's the perfect time to follow us on Instagram and Facebook because everywhere plastered, we're going to be talking about this challenge. And each week is dedicated to a different theme. So this first week, we're talking about love. And then into the second week, we're dealing with romance. You know, a lot of couples had this in the beginning stages of the relationship and lost it. So how do you bring romance back into the relationship? And on that third week, we're talking about sex. That's right. We're talking about sex and not just talking about it, but doing it for 7 straight days. That's right. And then on that fourth week, we're bringing fun back into the relationship. So many couples used to date and have fun when they first got in their relationship and then they stopped. There's no fun.
And they're having fun with everybody else, but they can't have fun with their partner anymore.
Which is insane.
Super sad.
And so we're going to be talking about how to incorporate that into your relationship. And so each day, husbands are faced with the challenge of what they need to do for their wife. Wives are also faced with the challenge of what to do with their husbands. And hopefully by doing it consistently, it will create a rhythm and a pattern that will become long lasting in the relationship. So we're excited about that. And once again, last announcement, as you know, every single month, we have our last chance weekend. And so February the 21st through the 23rd, we'll be having it here at our headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Typically, it's on the second weekend of every month, but because this is Love Month, because we have Valentine's Day and all these other things, we decided to push it back just a week. So make sure you register and sign up for that.
And what better a season to give your relationship one last chance, right? That's what Last Chance Weekend is about. It's like, you know what, we are fussing, we are fighting, and during Valentine's Day, we tend to get mad at our spouses because, we're disappointed. Maybe they didn't do what we wanted to do, or maybe we just brought some other baggage into the month, right? And you sometimes want to call it quits. Like, this is it. Like, it's Valentine's Day and I don't feel loved. Maybe you need to just give your relationship one last chance.
That's right.
And learn what you don't know, right? Sometimes we are going through life and we just don't know what we don't know. And we think we know how to do marriage and we don't because we never had a course on it, never got a certificate. We don't know what we're doing. We never saw a great example of it. And so sometimes you need to take a few steps back so that you can take a quantum leap forward. And that's what happens at Last Chance Weekend. So sign up, y'all.
Listen, if you've been wondering, does this really work? Like, I've been hearing about this. You guys talk about it. Does this thing really work? It's one thing for us to talk about it. It's another thing for you to hear it from couples who've actually gone through the experience. So we're going to share a quick testimonial and then dive into today's topic. So watch this, be inspired, and get your notepad and your pen, because today's going to be one of those episodes. Stand by.
Hello, I'm Dr. Charles Rogers.
I'm Dr. Tiana.
And we bring you greetings from Salt Lake City, Utah. Our marriage was on the way to hell in a basket soaked in gasoline, kerosene, any type of gas to make something burn up faster. And so we felt that it was key to do something about it right now. So we did our research because we're both being doctors. I did even some more research. I did some cost benefit analysis because I am very financially responsible. And, we connected with, the Couples Academy.
To provide a little bit more context. So before we ended up working with Couples Academy for this weekend intensive, we were separated, living in separate homes, and we've been working with a few other coaches and counselors trying to just resolve the issues that we were struggling to find common ground around. And so we just were ready for the next step, but we weren't sure. We had the what, but we weren't sure of the how. And so it was extremely, I don't want to say risky, but that's how it felt, to reach out and say, we need some help and we need to humble ourselves as the experts and allow someone who has been through this and who has walked other couples through it to guide us in this process. I feel like at the end of the 3 days, which definitely felt like 3 weeks, we are able to walk away not only with skills, but with tools and resources and actionable next steps. It's a relief to have a resource like Couples Academy to be able to help you consider other alternatives, right? Because we come from honestly a history of broken marriages and divorces. And when things were happening or getting complicated, people chose to walk away. And I feel like even today, with cancel culture, it's like, if this gets difficult or this gets hard, I'm checking out, all right? And so I feel like Couples Academy allows you to say, okay, I know that I don't want a divorce, but I also know that I don't want to continue in this the way that it was going. And so they really help to kind of provide that third option of like, there's another way.
But I would add that if you don't have our story, and your story is a little different in terms of like you thinking, you want a divorce.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend at least this being your last step. This should at least be your last step before you make this final decision. I'll conclude by saying that good is the enemy of great. And if you want to really, truly take your marriage from good to great, then holler at my people. couplesacademy.org.com. They can clarify. I'm pretty sure it's down here. In the chat. Thank you. Peace.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. What a powerful testimonial by a powerful couple. And one thing he said, or she said, we come from a history of divorce. And, we typically hear that in America, the divorce rate is at 50%. I literally just heard a statistic maybe 3-4 days ago that is at 57%. So it's actually gone up. And I think because of all the stress and the crisis that's happening in the world, and because so many relationships are fragile, they can't deal with the pressures that they're facing, and it's causing so many marriages to just crumble. And how fitting is a challenge like this over the next 28 days to kind of lay a proper foundation.
Agreed, for sure.
So let's get into today's conversation. We're talking about the 8 different types of love. Interestingly enough, most people didn't know that 8 existed. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know that 8 existed.
Right.
You typically hear about the 3, which is, Eros love, Familial Love, and agape love. But there are 8 kinds, and we want to just walk you through an overview so that you can kind of identify where you show up, what you're missing, what you're lacking, and what you can begin to incorporate into your relationship. So I came across a great graph. Let's just take a look at this. Number 1, this is not in the order that we're going to teach it, but it at least gives you an idea. You have agape love,
Which we've all heard of.
right?
That love.
This is pronounced Philosia love, right? Which is self-love.
Right.
And then pragma love, which is love that lasts. And then mania love, all-consuming love.
Ooh.
Eros, which is that romantic love.
We've heard of that.
Philia, which is love between friends.
We've heard of that.
Storage.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, storage. Like family
Familial
love, familial love,
Yeah.
right? And then you have lotus, which is a playful love. Right?
I think that's interesting. The fact that there are so many different loves, I feel like some of those need to be stacked. Right? Like I need some, go back to that real quick. Go back. I need some Eros love, but I probably also need some of that pragma love because that's that love that lasts, right? So the Eros needs to last. I mean, even the playful love needs to last. So maybe we need to carry that pragma alongside some of the other loves, because I think that's one of the biggest issues is that we all remember when, right? We all remember when we had those beginning loves. And so let's go ahead and start with that ludus love, which is that playful love. That's when we were super excited. It's energetic. It's fun. It's lighthearted. You know, we're flirting with each other and it's easy, right? It's not hard. It's that love where you're just like, I'm just enamored. You know, the person can't do any wrong. They're your Romeo, you're their Juliet. It's super romantic at that time, right? Because it's just like so easy. But that doesn't seem to last for a lot of people. I think oftentimes when that season fades and transitions into another love, which we'll get into, you know, we start to miss those other seasons because we don't realize how important it is to bring some of those loves into every season of your relationship.
And the word you're using, season, we talk about these 4 seasons of a successful relationship. Another word we could use are stages, right? So every relationship goes through stages. So there's the early stage, then what we will call the middle stage, and then the long-term stage. So the early stage, this type of lotus love usually happens before there's any type of commitment. It's like that dating season. You may be dating a few people. And so, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. And in that phase, that's where the flirtation, the playfulness, you know, you're texting emojis, you have sporadic dates. You're getting to know who that person is. It's lighthearted.
Yeah, easy, super easy.
Easy to laugh. And so the one thing that makes this type of love so easy is because it doesn't come with expectations.
Exactly.
There are no expectations.
Exactly. And actually, if there were an expectation and it were missed, right? Like you're flirting with the person, but it's not welcomed, right? That's kind of like a full stop. Right? Because, they didn't take, you know, they didn't latch on to my connection there. They didn't perceive that. Right. So it's almost like you're learning in that process how the person is and if this relationship can go to another level. But it's like you're just testing the water. Right? When you're flirting with somebody, you really don't know what their response is going to be. Some people don't know how to take social cues. And so your flirtation is a complete and total miss.
That's true.
Because they just didn't get it, right?
And there's something fun and anticipating about this. I wonder if it's going to work. I wonder what the response is going to be. I'm waiting for the text. I'm waiting for the call. And so it's a lighthearted, just excitement type of phase that people go through when they're first meeting somebody. But then once they feel like they found somewhat of a connection, it transitions from lotus love to what we all know of Eros love,
which we all know,
right? So that Eros love is maybe we're in a commitment. Ideally, you should be in a commitment. You know, there's a way that the world dates and the ideal way to date. But let's just say we're in some form of a commitment. It's Eros, and Eros is the romantic love. It's based upon emotions. There's a strong infatuation. There's this love heart pull that you have for this person, and so that's when you become so drunken in love with the person. You're spending all your time with them. You go out on dates. You're on the phone for hours and hours and hours. That's when your friends don't know where you are anymore. They found a man, they found a woman, and I haven't heard from them in weeks and months because you're so soaked and saturated in that person.
And if you connect the two, right, the ludus love is an idea that, if it went well, then you'll move into Eros love. Like if you're in Eros love, you know that Luda's love season went well, right? Because the cues were picked up. Now you're just infatuated. You're in love. You have desire for the person. That's a thing. Because a lot of times you'll lose that desire along the way too. But there's a desire, there's a passion, there's a connection. You want this person. And it's so funny. I love what Hasani said about you disappear from your friends. Because I remember when we were dating and all my friends started complaining, like, you don't show up no more. Like you can't come out anymore because you just so wrapped up in everything that your partner or the person that you're dating has going on. They can't do any wrong. So you're spending all of your energy and your connection and your time with them because there's a desire.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you remember those moments, right? Even though it may be 10, 15, 20 years away, usually you remember the most painful experiences you've had in life and the most blissful, joyful experiences that you had in life. Like I can remember our first date like it was yesterday. Remember the restaurant we went to? Are you serious?
Oh, you're talking about which one?
Yeah.
You're talking about Panera
the
Bread.
IHOP. No. Oh, the Panera Bread is
That
when we
wasn't a
met
date,
for the first time.
right.
That's when we met. Like we were having phone calls and we were emailing each other.
Okay,
and
so our first date was definitely IHOP. And you remember the name of the server, right?
His name was Speedy. He had Speedy tattooed on his arm. I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's a good name.
And that's soul food. That was an IHOP that sold soul food.
Yes.
It was in Newark, wasn't it?
It was in Newark.
Yeah.
It was in Newark. And so we remember those times because it was light, it was playful, it was fun, it was connecting, it was the very beginning.
Yeah, Eros is dangerous too, because I remember also like I don't know how long Eros stage is, but we needed to stay away from each other. I remember that was a thing. Like it was like, all right, like look, you can't come to my house and I can't come to yours, and we can't hang out after dark, and we had to set rules in place because Eros was getting hot.
Yeah, straight up and down.
Okay.
It's interesting because the Eros stage, according to the book, The 5 Love Languages, generally lasts for most couples for about 2 years. Then it kind of shifts because after 2 years, there's normalcy sets in, habits, patterns. It's just like that. New is sexy because when it's new and fresh, you're still getting to know and you still have questions, you're inquisitive. But once you feel like you know someone and you've seen them through all the stages, that pitter-patter.
Humdrum.
Yeah. So novelty turns into normal.
Yeah, novelty turns into normalcy. But then you step into another stage, and that's that mid stage.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're like developing that Familial Love, where you're just a friend, like we're connected. And I remember that transition for us too, because, when you think about the relationship and how it develops over time, that moment where you feel like, all right, I know as much as I need to know. It's not true that you do, but you get to a point where you know enough about the person and you start going deeper into the friendship thing. Like all the romantic stuff is cool. You still really vibing with the person, but now that relationship deepens into a friendship. You start to disclose deeper things. You have a connection. You feel a bond with this person. They're your friend. So they're beyond somebody that you are passionate about and that you're in love with, but this is your person, right? This is my friend. I can come to this person and tell them everything and they get me. And that marks a powerful friendship when you can talk to your friend about everything. Do you think about the friends in your own life? Like there are certain friend groups that you probably have, you can identify that you can say some things, but you can't say other things. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right. There are certain friend groups where like you could be this version of yourself because they get you and you can say all the things. But if you were to say that to other friendships, it would be like a problem. It would be conflict. They don't see eye to eye. But when you have that philia relationship with your spouse, that's what God wanted you to have. You can tell, like you're disclosed in front of them. There's no offense. You're accepted. Your fullness is accepted. And so you can just be completely transparent with this person. They know how you think. They know how you feel. They can complete your sentences. They know when you sit down at a restaurant and you're about to order some food and drinks are ordered, that they're going to order your water with no ice.
Because
every single time.
She doesn't do ice.
Okay, so they know you like that. And that really marks that friendship season in the relationship that we must develop. And I go back to what I was saying at the top of the show, that these things, these stages, we need to carry them throughout and cycle them throughout the course of our relationship.
The problem is there's so many couples who've been married for a long time and they are not friends, Danielle. Like when we faced challenges in our relationship, because it was a season of hardship, we fell back at least on a foundation of friendship that really allowed us to get through what we were going through, and we were able to bounce back. But there's so many couples who started their relationship wrong. They didn't have the right foundation. So when they faced crisis, it broke them. And literally they have become enemies of one another. Like the fact that you can't talk to your friend and you have to talk to people outside of your relationship to be heard, to be understood, to feel like you have a voice. It's a very lonely place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you have phileo, if you have it, you're doing great.
Oh my God, it's a blessing. And I do know a handful of couples that they are friends. And so that friendship takes you through so many things. It's not that you don't have difficulties in your relationship because you're friends, but that friendship is one of the glues that keep you bound and help you go through those tough things. It's a beautiful thing to have. And we've all been in previous relationships. So whether you're friends now in the relationship that you're in, you can think back to a season where you were in a relationship with someone where you were definitely not friends, right? And that you were like, why am I here? But you were maybe trapped in that eros. See, that'll get you trapped.
Yeah.
That eros love will have you trapped and confused. And it's important for you to experience these things in the proper order so that you're not in a relationship you should not be in far too long. And I just want, if any of this is resonating with you, hit us up in the chat. Can we get a yes, amen, and I agree something? Because we know that we're talking good, and we know that this is what's going on out here, that we're feeling these, we're experiencing these seasons in our relationships, and we're not properly identifying them. And we also don't know how to recycle them throughout our relationships so that we stay in love.
And Danielle, this friendship piece, let's pause on this because it's so important. I remember there was 2 incidences where we were out on a date, and these are 2 separate times. There was this one couple that we saw at a distance. They were eating, and you could tell that they had been in a relationship for a long time. And they were good. Like there was such a comfortability. There was such a, just like, we're one. You know, they weren't talking much. I remember they were looking at the TV, they were eating, they were watching a game, but there was this energy that you could feel. Yeah, they're a good couple. But then I remember being on a cruise.
I remember that.
And there was another couple, and they weren't talking.
No.
And you could see that the energy between them was they were so disconnected. Not good. 2 different worlds. You were like, why are they even here? Like they're on this cruise, this dinner cruise, you know, circling the harbor, but it was like a duty miserable.
date. It was a duty date, right?
Yeah.
You talk about duty sex. It was a duty date. And they were sitting there, and we looked up and we were like, we do not ever.
Not ever
want to be that couple. Like, you're here, but you're not even here.
Not even here.
You're not enjoying anything. I saw that they were looking at other people enjoying themselves and thinking to themselves, I could never do that. Like, not with her or not with him. Like, they just looked like they were miserable. And it just marks that they probably weren't friends.
Yeah.
They were disconnected. When you compare it to the couple who was at the sports bar, they were eating and enjoying themselves, and they were together watching the game, and the energy was good. And they were like, picking in each other's place and just enjoying each other silently, watching that game together. That's friends.
Now
that's Familial Love.
2 couples not talking to each other, but their nonverbal cues, the energy spoke for them. It spoke louder than their words. For sure. And so there are couples out there, listen, you can't hide what's really going on. Remember, we say this, you have a public life, a private life, and a secret life. And you think you can show it one way publicly and hide what's going on in private, but oftentimes your private life spills into your public life. And so we know couples who show up very well. They get out the car, they come in the house or wherever you're going, and they're all smiles and giggles, but you could see.
You can see.
You could see. And so listen, guys, there's no point in faking it. There's no point in pretending as if you're living a life that you're really not living. Get to work and establish the right foundation for your relationship so that you can thrive, because people can see it.
Oh yeah, you can see it, and then it seeps out too. Like it's not just nonverbal cues. It starts to seep out in verbal cues, and you're like, oh Lord,
you're like,
making
awkward.
everybody feel uncomfortable.
Awkward.
Right. So let's get busy working on it. It's 2025. And with everything that's going on in this world, like things are getting crazy. We need each other. And I need my friend. I need him to have my back. I need a place where I can go and let him know, listen, things are feeling heavy today. I just need to talk to you. I need to just vent. I know you can't fix it. I can't fix it, but can I just tell you what's on my heart and not be judged? That is philia. That's what you want in your relationship.
Let's go to the next one. The next part of the early to mid stage type of love is what we call storage love, which is the familial love. And these are family bonds of nurturing and love that develops as partners build a life together. So it's one thing if we're friends, like I genuinely like you, like I don't just love you, but the likability factor between us is good.
Yeah.
But now that we're doing life together, we're raising kids together, we're buying property together, we're making investments together, you're no longer just my partner, you're my family.
Yeah.
Like we're family.
We're vested in each other.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when people talk about their family, they refer to their children, their parents, their siblings, their cousins, but they don't necessarily look at their marriage partner as family.
Correct.
It's just a weird concept to me.
But I'll say this, that like when divorces happen, the rest of the collected family feels it.
Oh, for sure.
Because you bond with that person. You bond with your sister-in-law, you bond with your daughter-in-law, whatever the case may be. And then when they're gone, it's a break away. You feel the disconnect. You feel the loss, right? Because they became family. That became auntie and uncle to my children, right? That became my daughter, you know, the daughter that I always wanted, if that's your situation. And so it's true. We become family and we don't look at ourselves that way, maybe because we're lacking that friendship and that connection. But when we see ourselves that way and we're vested, it's a partnership. There is ownership in all of it. You know, it's important for your spouse to have ownership in what happens with you and how you thrive, and the children, right? That's important as well, for you to have ownership in this family and be vested in ensuring its safety, its protection, its growth, its health, all of it. That is a beautiful thing, and that is super necessary. And I never heard of that is storage. I never heard of that term storage, but familial love I have heard of, and that's a really powerful version of love.
All right, let's go to the next one. Now we're in mid-stage love.
So mid-stage love, I'm gonna let you cover that one. Go ahead.
Okay, it's called mania love.
Okay,
it's
I never heard of that one.
all-consuming love. This type of love may appear during the stage if the relationship becomes obsessive and possessive.
Oh, okay.
So it's not necessarily a healthy type of love. You know, there's so many songs, Dangerously in Love.
Oh.
You know, if you've grown up in a household where maybe it was abusive, maybe you came from hardships and you saw bad things done in the name of love. You saw this possessiveness, you saw this, confrontational type of engagement. You enter into your committed relationship thinking that if we don't have that, then we really don't have love. It's interesting. There was a couple we worked with a long time ago, and he came from a broken household. And no, she came from the broken household. That's what it was. And what happens was when she would become angry and he didn't, she questioned, do you really love me? Because if you really love me, I would see some emotion out of you. So if I don't hear you rage out, if I don't hear you curse me out, if I don't hear you swing and see you swing and punch on me, you really don't love me. So it was
That's
a broken, distorted type of love.
God. Because maybe that's all she saw.
Exactly.
See, this is why, oh my goodness. That like triggers me a little bit, because this is why we need to work on ourselves and fix what is broken. We cannot keep carrying baggage and false narratives throughout our entire lives and into our relationships, toxifying our relationship. We're going to just make that a word work, because that is such a brokenness. And if you grew up in a home where all you saw was hollering and screaming, And now I come into my relationship thinking that hollering and screaming is appropriate, is okay, is normal, and or is supposed to get me the results that I want. I am so far off. And now I'm breaking a relationship that potentially could have been an amazing situation
for sure.
because I just never learned how to express my love. That's deep that somebody would think of it that way.
Oh, for sure.
And it also makes me think of that version of love, also makes me just think of people who just have these terrible bonds. What is the bond?
Trauma bonds?
Trauma bonds, right. When a person has a trauma bond and the behavior is just continuously sick, you're like on a sick hamster wheel of behaviors because you're bonding based on the trauma. So you're constantly expressing the sick mind and all these behaviors that you were raised in, and you don't even know that you're doing this, but you're bonded with a person that treats you the way that you were treated. You're almost attracted to it because it's what you know and it feels comfortable and safe. So this is why we always say that it's important for us to learn how to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because it could be the truth for you that you are very comfortable in very toxic ways. Okay. And that is something that we need to reframe. It's important for us to be able to acknowledge it, but you have to reframe the thing that makes you feel comfortable. And that only happens by getting yourself in very uncomfortable situations. And that might be learning a new habit that feels strange, learning the appropriate way to connect in love.
And Danielle, another part of this, like, you become very obsessive and possessive regarding your partner.
Right.
Like your whole world is consumed in this person. So you have no friends, you have no hobbies, you have no interests. Everything's about that person. And it can become very exhausting to the other partner.
Sure.
Because it's like, well, golly, I can't be your everything.
Can I have a life? Can I have a life outside of you? Like, can you get a life? It's probably rooted in fear.
It reminds me of the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Remember Martin Lawrence and what's the sister's name? I forget. Whatever her name is, right? Classic actress. I can't think of her name. But in that movie, she was so obsessed with him that he could have no existence outside of her.
And it was rooted in fear.
Lynn Whitfield.
That's
right.
That was an amazing movie.
Phenomenal movie.
He feared that he would cheat on her. And abandon her like the last one. And so she was possessive. She was showing up places. She tied him up, beat him.
and then beat herself as a cover-up. So this is why
funny, but not funny.
It's not funny.
You know?
This is why your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your God is so critically important. Because if this is broken, this internal and vertical relationship is broken, then your horizontal relationships will also be broken as well.
Absolutely. Let's jump into pragma love. This is the love that lasts. This is the one that I said.
Now we're transitioning into like that long-term stage.
Because this is the one that you need to layer on top of the love that you have. Like this long-lasting love, it's committed, it goes deep, it's enduring. This is the one that will take you through all the storms whenever there's crisis, because I love you. I love the foundation we've built. I love our philia, our friendship. I have ludus love for you. All of those things compound to give me this lasting and enduring love. And I think it's interesting because God is amazing how he creates things. But isn't that kind of the way everything goes? Right? The more vested you become in something, then there's this long-term commitment or connection to it, right? And so through the stages of love, you have gotten to this point where you are beyond surface level. This is that love that's going to take you the distance. This is the love that's supposed to take you to rocking in chairs and looking at the sunset, okay? When you have that love.
And that love, what she's talking about, is in the middle stage or middle season that transitions into the long term. But then built upon that is what we call, it's hard to pronounce.
Self-love.
No. It's self-love, but it's philosia type of love, right? This is self-care. This is where you're focused on your personal growth. This is when you have a healthy love for yourself.
Let me tell you something, okay? Because I was just talking about this in Suitable Helper Community, because I was doing this webinar about finding your spark. Yep. And this is a new stage, right? So we're transitioning because that all represents how we treat each other, everything that we saw or everything we talked about. But then there's a point where, you're giving, like love is giving, love is self-sacrificing, right? So you've given and given and given. Husband is giving, wife is giving, everybody's taking, okay? But then you get to this stage where you actually need to draw a circle around your own 2 feet and start to balance and focus on well-being. I think the beauty of this, though, is that when all the other stages have taken place, there's a support, right? It's not an abandonment of your partner. It's both of you taking care of self, both of you actually pouring love into each other and into ourselves for our own development. That begins to be very important. You want to see your person thrive. You want to see them accomplish the things that they've always wanted to accomplish. You want to support them in all the things that represents that self-love.
Absolutely. And when you have self-love, let me tell you something, it's the foundation of everything.
Because I love to see you win. I love to see you thrive. Like, I love it. When he's thriving and winning, I'm thriving and winning. That's how connected we are. That's missing in a lot of relationships. There's competition in a lot of relationships. When I see my spouse winning, when others see their spouse winning, they're hating. They're trying to sabotage it, which means they're self-sabotaging, because why would I not want to see my other half win? We're one.
And that's the point. Like, I remember there was an opportunity that we were in competition, if you will, for this opportunity, not because we were competing, but the opportunity was presented to both of us. Right. And both of us were like, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it.
I was like, please take it. This ain't my space. I don't want it. But okay, no, here's the deal. I did it because I wanted you to win. Because the situation called for, they were asking for us both to try. Remember? Would you please both? This is what the executives want. Would you please? And I'm like, Lord help, this is not my faith. But okay, for you, I will do this for you because I want you to win. And I remember telling the people, I don't care what you say, you gonna pick him. That's it, period, and point blank. So this is oneness.
It is, because
also honoring each other's gifts where the gifts are.
For sure. But even in that opportunity, I was just like, listen, if I don't get it, and even though you didn't want it, if I don't get it and you get it, I'm good with that, because if you win, we both won. Like, see, this is what I'm saying. So many couples have competition, just like that other opportunity that I was engaged in, and they wanted you, and I'm like, boom, get it. So I was celebrating you as if it were my own, because there's a oneness.
True.
And I wish couples would get to that place where they stop competing, because listen, I don't need to be intimidated by you. You speak to my ability to properly select. I made a phenomenal choice.
Ditto.
And somebody that could complement and supplement who I am.
Yeah.
And that's what marriage is ultimately all about. Oh my
goodness. That's what it's about. I love the way we're wrapping up this conversation, because I think that's something that people need to walk away with. Is it's so important for us to be able to celebrate one another. Celebrating each other is loving ourselves. And if you think about it, if you're honest, there's a bitterness that grows on the inside of you when you can't celebrate your partner. Right? You know it. Like, you don't know what it is. You're fighting yourself from the inside. You just can't fix your lips to say nothing nice. Like, you don't know when the last time you don't know when the last time you complimented your partner. And that's a mold to break. That's why you need to join this challenge, because sometimes you just need outside permission to do the thing that you always wanted to do, but you just don't want to look weak, right? Join the challenge so that you have us leading you into the tenderness that you actually want to express, but just don't have the courage to do it on your own.
Absolutely. Listen, and the last love that we got to cover really quickly, you've heard it all before, agape love, right? That is unconditional love. We're going to probably spend the majority of our series unpacking it. I just want to quickly read this scripture. We've heard it before. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. Love never fails. That's 16 different parts right there that we're going to unpack.
And I just want to say, I want to acknowledge a couple of people. Tamika, she's like, say it. Yeah, it's going to be posted on Facebook. So definitely sit down with your husband and share this with him. And y'all join this challenge together. Like, there is a separate challenge for the wives, a separate challenge for the husbands. And so you won't really know what your left hand is doing and your right hand is doing, which makes it really fun and interesting. And she was just hands up the entire time. She was like, yes and amen. And I love the fact that you love celebrating your spouse. We all need to learn to do that. We all need to learn practicing it. I enforce it inside Suitable Helper community, where I'm like, okay, here's the challenge. You're going to compliment. Here's the challenge. You're going to do this, because sometimes it's hard. You know, we've been through things with our partners. We've been married a certain amount of time, and it's not easy to do things just out of the clear, out of nowhere. Plus, it might also be that it's not being reciprocated. None of that matters. All it takes is one person to start something, and then all of a sudden it just catches on.
That's
so
what
y'all
makes it a
join
challenge.
the challenge. We're having fun. I'm going to come on live and show you what I'm doing today. Get involved. We're here for it, and we will see you
on tomorrow for another great episode. Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.